Good morning.
Good morning, Matt.
Oh, I am so glad that is a little bit of a long intro because right as it started, I was like, oh, I don't have my overhead light on. I need to turn that light on. And it's just right over there. I was able to get up and go and turn the light on, get back, get
That's
comfy.
good.
And we still
Right
had a little
under
bit
the
of time to
wire.
groove.
No one even knew you were gone.
I know, right? That's the magic of long
The
intros.
internet.
Good morning, everybody.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. It's Hello
Welcome
Weekend.
to the snow day.
It is a snow day.
Boston's big snow day.
It is a winter wonderland out there. I don't know. It's probably all washed out because of the, but yeah, it's.
I see a building.
There's some snow. I don't know if you can see the snow.
Yeah. Well,
but
there's some on the branches there and stuff.
Yeah.
There's your hand.
And I'm back. It's the magic of camera work.
Magic. There's a lot of magic happening on this show this morning.
It's a very magical show. That's what I said at the top of the show. Before we started, we were going to have a magical show.
We're right. Buddy Joe is very excited about the snow. He likes to eat snow. This morning, when he woke me up at 6 a.m. to go outside, I opened the door and he immediately just was like, "Oh, snow!" and then just started eating it. He totally forgot he even had to go to the bathroom.
Right. And just to clarify, if you've never watched this show before, Buddy Joe is in fact not an elderly man that Chloe lives with. Buddy Joe is actually Chloe Joe is the couple name.
Yeah. Pet and owner name.
Pet and owner name.
I'll clarify. Yes. Not...
Yeah, Buddy Joe is the delightfully delightful.
He's just
a delightful
long
pup.
Noodle boy.
Long noodle boy.
Long fluffy noodle boy, and we love him.
Sorry, I have a husky, so that means I have husky hair in my mouth. Sorry. Nope, that was my own hair. Never mind.
Oh, good. Oh, okay. Well,
y'all, it's been a morning already.
We got it sorted out. I'm glad we got it sorted out. Does the snow affect your day at all, Matt?
Oh my God, it has affected my day. I've already been outside shoveling, shoveled the walk. We got a snowblower. We recently got a snowblower, and so I could have busted that out this morning, but it was like 7 a.m. and I'm a polite neighbor, so I was like, I'll just shovel.
That's
and then
an important
I'll run the
consideration.
snowblower this afternoon. Yeah, but yeah, no, I've already been out in this. Cleared off the car. Did very
responsible.
Responsible adult kind of things. Because Abby was like, "Hey, would you go out and do this?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
Yes.
Because when your very pregnant wife asks you to do something,
you do it.
You say yes.
You say yes.
You just do it.
They're having a hard enough time being pregnant.
No, it's fine. I don't mind. I kind of went to bed last night knowing that was going to be something that was probably going to happen.
Yeah.
So
you're just going to bed with the expectation of like, all right, when I wake up, I got to get this shovel out, visualize this. If you can dream it, you can do it.
Yeah. I was like, show's at 9:30. I'm gonna have to get up probably around 7:30.
Yeah.
Which I did. And but now it's it's not going to be as bad when I go out later this afternoon.
Yeah.
Because I've got stuff all day today, so it's like I can't get back out until later in the day.
Yeah.
So what about you? Does the snow you rent? Yes.
Oh yes.
And does your landlord do the shoveling and everything?
Well, yeah, he's got. I mean, it doesn't super affect me in either way because, I've got street parking, so I got to clear off my own car. But I also don't have to go anywhere today. I got groceries earlier in the week, and then as the week went on, I was like, no, all these groceries are useless. I did a bad job. I have a lot of snacks. I don't have a lot of meals.
Right. Oh, I do that all
I
the
don't-
time. That's the you're like,
Like,
ugh.
what did I even buy?
Yeah. Yeah, I go to we do the Trader Joe's run, and then I inevitably will during the week go to Stop and Shop. Yesterday I went to Stop and Shop, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
That's impressive.
It is,
That's
it
very
is,
impressive.
and thankfully it wasn't like crazy. It was like clear yesterday. There was nothing yesterday, so it was
Yeah.
very easy to get down and back, but.
Yeah.
I know. Thank you, the moms. Oh goodness, the moms are watching.
Uh-oh.
Oh, this makes
Yeah.
me very happy. Sorry, the moms. Yes, no, I know it was too much. Well,
Yeah.
the thing is we like make dinner for our pups every evening, and I didn't realize that we were out of meat for the pups dinner. So I was like,
Those pups
that
are
was the
living in
third trip. I
luxury.
didn't mean to make the third trip.
Yeah.
But it happened.
It was worth it.
Uh,
Yeah, I heard my roommate went to the grocery store last night and she said it was like cleaned out. It was like when early COVID times when people were stocking up to go into lockdown.
Well, because now it's COVID plus snow.
COVID plus snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a Sharknado, but with COVID and snow.
Yeah.
Where COVID is the sharks.
COVID in the snow.
Oh no, it's COVID snow. Oh no.
That would be. We should probably not talk about that because it could
manifest. And
it could manifest. Okay, everyone forget we said.
Everyone forget we said that. We'll edit it out in post. It's fine.
We'll take it out.
We record this show anyway, so this is not live.
Wait, Matt, are you sure it's not live?
Yeah, I'm 100% sure it's not live.
It says up in the corner live.
Oh
no.
It's supposed to say record.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I made one of the reasons why I had to do multiple trips yesterday is because when I got to the store the first time, yeah, the moms taped the comments earlier. When I got to the store the first time, you ever go to the store and you see one item that wasn't on your list to buy, but then you're like, okay, I'm going to get this item, but because I get this item, I have to get this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what happened to me yesterday. I saw the Hawaiian bread, the King Hawaiian bread, right?
How can you resist?
I know, right? And what do you have with that?
Butter.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you can eat it with just butter. You can eat it just plain. But is there not a specific side of that you think of when you think of that bread?
I mean, hamburgers.
Really?
I mean, yeah.
I'd like to hear the mom's take on this. The moms, if you could in the chat, when
to
you
be
think
fair,
the King's
it has
Hawaiian
been a
bread,
long time since I've had Hawaiian rolls because I can't have them anymore.
Other Dave Thomas, good morning.
Good morning.
You can chime in on this too, bud. We're asking when you think of the King's Hawaiian sweetbread, what do you think goes with that? Like, what do you don't just, I mean, you can't just eat the bread by itself, but what do you usually put with it? That's the question. That's the question.
Do we have any answers? Buddy Joe, do you have any ideas? No, he just sleeps.
Yeah. It's fine.
What's the classic side?
The classic side for me, anyway, is spinach artichoke dip.
Oh.
Like, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make spinach artichoke dip, a peanut butter and jelly. I mean, that would make a pretty mean peanut butter and jelly. But
I mean, yeah.
Oh my god, I must be okay. This is just a me thing.
Have you not had a burger on a King Hawaiian bun?
I haven't, but that sounds amazing.
Oh.
And of course, dollar bills.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, you got to try one because I can't have them anymore. So you should have one.
Okay.
And.
All right. I'll do that. We do the impossible meat burgers because we don't really eat meat, but I'm sure that it would. I'm sure that it would still be fantastic.
Still be great.
Well, I made spinach artichoke dip from.
That does sound tasty.
I immediately
with so many things. I think is the lesson here.
Yeah, I have all recipes on my phone.
Oh, nice.
So I'm in the middle of the store and I look up. I look up spinach artichoke dip. I find a recipe. And I was like, oh, okay, I can just grab all this stuff. So that was my first trip. And then, of course, my second trip was the stuff I forgot because I was focused on spinach artichoke dip the first time. And then, yeah. So that's the...
What a grocery shopping.
What a week it's been.
What a week it's been. Yeah. I think we're all just recovering from New Year's. I'm honestly like, I'm still.
Did you do anything for New Year's? I mean, this is the first Friday of 2022.
Yeah. So I'm still coming off the jet lag from Alaska. So New Year's was chill. We ended up having just like a couple people over for like a chill board game night, which was perfect because I didn't have the energy. I had just gotten back the day before, so I didn't have enough energy to like really go for it on the party front there. But I'm still like, last night was the first night that I was able to fall asleep before like 1 a.m. So I'm still a little hazy. It's a recovery week. It's a week for reflecting and, you know, thinking about last year and thinking about this year. And I've been doing a lot of journaling.
Yeah. I know that what are they called? Resolutions aren't really a thing anymore. Like, I guess people still do them, but it's, you know, I've heard some kind of pushback on the term resolutions, which I get. I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, no, I hated them anyway. Like, I never did them. But do you have any goals for 2022? Do you have anything like you're like, oh, I really would like to accomplish this year?
Yeah, so for me, it's really important to be like process oriented. So instead of being like, I want to accomplish this thing by this time, that doesn't work for me. I inevitably forget what I'm working towards. I don't like I don't know how to get there. But if I make goals for like how I want my day-to-day to go, then it like is I slowly but surely make steps towards achieving a goal, without having to think about like, oh, this is when I have to have this thing done.
Right.
And so a lot of what I'm working on is that, so I want to keep my reading goal. Last year I ended up reading 35 books.
Oh, wow.
Which I was pretty excited about. So I keep my goal at 24 books, which is a manageable 2 books a month, but I'm trying to read more nonfiction.
Okay.
Which takes longer for me to read, so I think that like having a smaller number is going to make that a little bit more manageable. I want to see, and I can't even remember them right now. I have to write everything down, but I want to try some different movement, some different kinds of movement, different kinds of exercise, which keeps exercise interesting for me, and also like I can learn new moves to teach to my clients. And I want to get back into, so I want to continue with Duolingo. I've been on a streak. I'm like at day 202. I'm very excited about that. So I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm going to try and get back into meditating at least a couple times a week, because it's a thing that made a difference for me when I was doing it. And I think like doing that 2 or 3 times a week can really helps quiet my brain. Yeah.
No, Abby does a lot of meditation. She does the meditation a lot.
Yeah. It's great. And it's not like, it's not what people think it is. It's not like just sit still and don't think about anything. Because that's
impossible. Yeah.
It's just like having intentional quiet and like letting your thoughts go wherever they go, and then kind of just like watching them go by like a train, right?
Right.
Like we don't have to like fixate on anything. It's just like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do 24 books exist? Yeah.
At least there's at least 24
there's
books
at
out
least
there.
24, and I'm gonna read all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So read the Chloe's like Oprah. She's gonna
We're
recommend
similar
some
in
books
many
for us.
ways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our guest has been waiting very patiently in the back in the green room, munching on snacks and just kind of chilling in our very, very comfortable green room space.
Yeah.
Chloe, would you like to introduce our guest? I mean, you booked our guest this week.
Absolutely.
So why don't you introduce them?
Please welcome to the show.
Oh, come on! Give a little
okay.
Like
this person, does improv.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to Harvard and knows a lot about Vikings. Is that good? How's that?
That's perfect.
That's perfect. Please welcome to the show, Marisa Borreggine.
Nailed it.
You nailed it. Hi.
Marisa, good
You
morning.
did a wonderful job. Yeah, a very Marisa morning to you all.
I love that giant calendar. This is
Thank you.
It's a huge ass calendar.
It's a huge calendar. It's massive. Like for scale, I can't even reach it, but it's a Stendig calendar. My partner's a designer, so we have art things in our home that I can take zero credit for, but do look cool when I'm zooming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You always know what day it is. Thank you. I feel like you guys have really amped up my like Viking knowledge. So I should clarify what my background is just for disclaimers, and so that I can't be held accountable for anything I say ever.
I was told that you are the foremost expert on Viking and the ancient art of Viking improv.
Yes,
you were a Viking.
Because the Vikings invented improv.
I mean, rumors are swirling constantly around me, let me tell you. And to put rest to some of the rumors, contrary to popular opinion, I do have a job. I do work at Harvard. I am a grad student at Harvard. I don't just yell into the abyss. I do actually do research. Yes, I'm currently in my 4th year of my PhD at Harvard, and what a ride it has been.
4 out of how many? Like, is this like 4 is in like I don't know how long it's going to take.
4 out of like, you know what I mean? 4 out
8
of
to 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 5 to 7, but
okay.
We'll see what happens. We'll see. So I'm in my 4th year now, and I am in a sea level change lab, actually. So I'm a science person. Again, contrary to popular opinion, I do science.
You don't just like imagine things about Vikings and then tell people?
I don't. God, I fucking wish. I wish.
I mean, that's what I was promised.
Yeah.
I was promised somebody
I will try to deliver.
Okay.
I will try to deliver, but my research is on how sea level change impacts migration events. And so I literally just will look at like archaeology, like very charismatic migration events. So I started by looking at like when people first migrated into Australia, which was like 60,000 years ago. But then I also have some interest in Vikings because I studied a little bit of medieval history when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like this big mysterious migration of Vikings away from Greenland in the medieval times, or as me and my sister called it growing up, the medieval Timmies. And
can I just say real quick, medieval times, one of my favorite restaurants.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta go to medieval.
I mean, they got that turkey leg. You got that. You got that turkey leg.
You get to
watch people joust. Like,
it's an educational experience. I mean,
it is
dinner and a show.
Not sponsored by Medieval Times, though.
Oh, and I have
we could be.
I literally have within reach of me. I have 2 Medieval Times. I actually have a Medieval
Oh
Times.
my gosh.
It makes an amazing pen mug.
Yeah.
Just for
Yeah.
future. Yeah.
And I see someone has just outed my contract, which is that if someone attends Harvard, you do have to mention that you go to Harvard. I'm a big I go to school in Boston person, but or as some people like to call it, UMass Cambridge. So
It's
That's
a small,
me.
it's a small liberal
school.
art school. You probably never
Small
heard
school.
of it.
north of the Charles. So that's
Not the one you're thinking of.
It's not the one that you're thinking of, I promise.
It's Harvard State. It's Harvard State.
It's Harvard State. I hope one day that it becomes Harvard State. I was just telling Matt and Chloe that like I think the reason there's an assumption that like I don't work is because most of my time is spent tweeting about how much I dislike Harvard State, and that I was recently emailed by someone from the like newspaper at Harvard saying like, "Hey, we saw your tweet. Do you want to do an interview about how much you hate Harvard?" Like you really seem to talk about this a lot, so beware.
Well, now that you're
People
talking about
could.
it on this show, we're going to get an email
Yeah,
being like, "Hey,
that's right.
Do you want to
Sorry.
talk to us about how Marisa feels about Harvard?
Yeah,
like yes, we do. I feel very
We do.
strongly about how strongly Marisa feels
Mhm.
about Harvard.
we do. But anyways, enough with Harvard. No, So I study. Right now, I'm working on a project about Viking migration because
Yeah, that's really
Um,
cool. That's
it's fun, dude.
Yeah.
It's fun because I'm doing like my degree is in earth science, but I also study archaeology. And so I'm very lucky to have like an advisor who's very interested in like sort of the interdisciplinary kind of work like that. And so about a year or 2 ago, I started working on this project and it's actually starting to wrap up now, which is exciting, about how sea level change could have been a factor in Vikings leaving Greenland because they came to Greenland in 985 AD from Iceland because Eric the Red was exiled for manslaughter from Iceland.
Iceland's a pretty cool place. You can't really kill
Yeah.
somebody in Iceland.
Can't
They're
kill
like,
anyone
dude,
there.
They're like, you can't be here
Notoriously
anymore.
can't murder.
Yeah, like we're chill here, man. Like they're
Yeah.
a super chill country.
Yeah.
and I love them for it.
Very wonderful. So he's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here because I
Yeah.
did do a murder. And so he goes with his friends and family, loved ones, to southern Greenland. Not the first time people have been in Greenland. There was indigenous people in Greenland far before Vikings ever got there, in the north. So Inuit lived there for many, many, many years. But they get to southern Greenland, nobody's living there. And they're like, Greenland's dope, you guys. Like, we're having a great time because they arrived during what is called the medieval warm period, which was this like sort of semi-global phenomenon where like I forget what time period it happened in, but it was like a couple hundred years where the world was just like super warm during the medieval Timmies. And
Medieval teammates, I love that.
The medieval Timmies. So they arrive and they're like, this is sweet. Why is it like Greenland is a proper name? Yes, it's green, it's warm. Like, let's set up shop. We have our farms, we have our, I don't know, cattle and our boats. So they're chilling big time. And they lived there until the early 1400s. And then mysteriously disappeared. There's nothing in the written record about why Vikings left Greenland. Like, we still don't know. And the last record of Vikings was at this church called Valsey in southern Greenland, and it was written in Iceland, and it was recording a wedding that happened in, I think, 1405, I want to say, between 2 people in southern Greenland. And that's the last record that we have of Vikings living there. People went to southern Greenland around like the mid 1400s, and there was nobody there. The settlements were completely abandoned.
Oh, wow.
So there's like a lot of theories about why this happened. I have my own theories, and I'm not an anthropologist or an archaeologist. I can really only like speak to this from the earth science perspective. Some people say that like they just were like incorporated into the indigenous community that already lived there because they did interact with Inuit. Some people say that they all died. Um, and some people say that like all of a sudden it got really, really cold and it was impossible to live there. So they left and they fled and we don't know where they went. Lots of theories, lots of spicy theories. It's the Roanoke of the medieval times.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's very much. Yeah, Roanoke was the town I was thinking. I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
I kept thinking Jamestown. I was like, no, Jamestown was fine.
Yeah,
Like,
Jamestown's good. Jamestown's
they were,
set.
well, I mean,
problematic, but
problematic, but
Yeah.
yeah, where they are.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah. For those of you just joining us, we're talking about Vikings today, and
We're
that's
talking
what we're talking
Vikings
about.
today.
It's snowing out. It's very Viking-like weather
Yeah.
out there, and
We planned this.
yeah, absolutely.
So the record of that wedding,
Yeah.
did they have like a weather report? Or
So
was
that's
it
the
just-
thing. There are other ways that you can look at like what the weather was like in southern Greenland. And I'm friends with people who like do the science around that. And so there was also right after the medieval warm period, this period called the Little Ice Age. And it was just another like semi-global phenomenon where the world was very, very cold. And there's also like all these paintings from around that time. I think it's like the 1300s into the mid 1800s, where there's just like, if you look at all the paintings from then, it's just like, it shows much snowier weather. That's like one of the ways that we know it was colder then, but also through like science.
Oh, so interesting.
So it got really cold, and like living in southern Greenland, even though, you know, it's southern Greenland, it's freezing. You're right next to a massive glacier next to the Greenland ice sheet. So my research is on how during the Little Ice Age, the Greenland ice sheet grew. And here's like the spiciest piece of all. The Greenland ice sheet growing actually made sea level rise in Greenland, because this is like what we do in my lab is we look at how like ice changes make sea level change in very unique ways around the world. And it turns out that whenever an ice sheet grows, because the mass is getting bigger, there's more of a gravitational attraction between the ice and the sea surface. So the sea surface tilts up towards the ice when it grows. And the opposite happens when it melts. When an ice sheet melts, this is just like very close to it. When an ice sheet melts, you lose gravitational attraction. So the sea level goes down nearby, which is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
So crazy.
Yeah. But this is not like, sometimes people take that and they're like, climate change isn't so bad, you guys. Like, that's not the takeaway.
Yeah.
That's not the takeaway.
Right.
I was gonna ask you about
Yeah, I
that.
loved Little Ice Age. It's where all the
Yeah.
characters from Ice Age are babies.
They're small.
But it's still they're still voiced by the actors that voice them. So it's a baby mammoth, but it still has the voice of Ray Romano, which is very
It's so great. I thought I saw Ray Romano on the street the other day, but it was just a guy.
Dang. I had a nickel for every time.
Every time it was just a guy. I thought I saw Ben Affleck on the street the other day, just a guy. It was just a guy.
Just a guy.
Which, I mean, you know, Ben Affleck could be walking the street.
Just a guy.
But he's
I mean,
just
Ben
a guy.
Affleck is also just a guy. So.
Maybe.
It's true. I mean,
Maybe.
if you know, he's just like us, you know.
Yeah,
He gets
stars.
his donkey
They're just like us.
and he drops it. And who hasn't done that?
Who hasn't cheated on celebrity women? You know what I mean? Who hasn't?
Constantly. I'm constantly
Just-
cheating.
Yeah.
He's just a guy with a killer back tattoo.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
And you could say that about Vikings too.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
Did they have back tattoos?
did they have to?
According
Like
to
I said,
the-
I'm not an anthropologist.
They.
According
I
to
can
the,
tell you,
Oh, go ahead.
they were very clean.
Uh-huh.
And I read about this in this book called Pretty Boys by David Yee, which is about it's kind of like breaking gender roles in history, and like talks about like men's grooming throughout the ages. Yeah, Vikings invented Irish Spring.
Which is weird that they called it Irish Spring and not Viking Spring, but
I
so
mean,
weird.
Mix it up, full of surprises.
Yeah.
The first cultural appropriation. But so Viking men would keep a little grooming kit on them at all times that had like a brush and everything, and they bathed almost daily, which in those times was actually very unusual, and so all the men
honestly, in these times, it's a little unusual. I mean,
yeah,
when was the last time you bathed daily?
That's true.
Since
It's
I was
actually
a
not
babe.
good for your skin.
Yeah,
Dries
Exactly.
you out.
not good for you.
But so like the men who were not Vikings were mad at them because they were like, these clean men are gonna come in here and steal our women.
Oh my god,
They're gonna steal our girls.
Oh
This
my
does sound
God.
like Thor fan fiction.
Because they're so
Chloe.
it's because they comb their beards on
Oh
a
my
regular
God.
basis.
You heard it here first, men. Comb your beards.
Otherwise,
Become
the
a
Vikings-
threat.
The Vikings will take your women.
They will. Oh my gosh. What a thought. I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't know a ton about
All right. Well, yeah, it's getting a little hot and heavy in the
A little
chat
spicy.
with a little,
Yeah.
with a little
Ooh.
spicy.
Oh my god.
with,
oh my god.
Hemsworth. Anyway, sorry,
I'll
Marisa.
do
go
a
ahead.
hard it's okay. I'll do a hard pivot away from Thor fan question. To answer the question, which is was this gravity or density was gravity? But like I said, I'm not like a Viking archaeologist, but what I can say is that there were studies done on Viking bones that you can assess like bone composition to see what people ate.
Oh, right.
And
yeah.
so there was evidence from Viking bones that slowly, as sea level started to rise, they transitioned their diet from eating mostly like dairy to eating like seal and stuff, just stuff that was more like marine based. So they tried to adapt. We do know they tried to adapt, which is important because people used to be like, oh my God, like the Vikings, did manslaughter, went to southern Greenland.
Constantly.
It got super cold. They fought with the Inuit, and the Inuit were like, here's all this technology that we've been using for hundreds of years to survive in cold ass Greenland. And the Vikings were like, we good. And then they all died. And
That
was
sounds like a very Viking thing
Right.
to do.
But we know that they actually did try to adapt. I mean, they could have done more, but still, it's a question mark about why or what exactly caused them to leave and how they left. But one thing that we did do in my group is we modeled ice change and sea level change. And what we saw is that like, because of how sea level was rising over time while they lived there for like 400, 500 years, literally like thousands of cows would have lost their grazing land on the coast of Greenland. And that could fuck you right up. It could fuck you right up.
That could be enough to be like, hey, we're out. We got to go somewhere else. Like we got to get back in our boats and go. Like we can't go to Iceland. Where are we gonna go? We're just
can't go back to Iceland.
Yeah.
Not the spot. I mean, I think that's the most important piece of my research is the thousands of cows. Really remember that ice equals thousands of cows.
I'm picturing the shaggy ones, like the Highland cows. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Ooh, we have an honest question. I
Excellent.
love when they preface. It's like this is not.
Oh
a
my
bit.
God, I love an honest question. Is there a rift or rivalry between scholars that study Viking migration and exploration? I guess, I mean, because I'm not like super immersed in like archaeological scholarship, I couldn't really speak 100% to that. But what I will say is that archaeologists are very intense. Like they're very intense.
So
like
the answer is probably.
The answer is probably like coming from an earth science background where people are like, this rock versus this rock, let's go. Like theories about rocks.
Throw them together,
see what happens. But then like archaeology is, it's much more like it's much more personal because it's about like the human experience. And
Yeah, it's about people.
I think that people like they really do be like calling each other out by first names in like scholarly journals. Like I was trying to publish a paper. I think I was telling Chloe about this. I was trying to publish a paper in an archaeology journal, and I was just walking on like the thinnest of eggshells because I was like, I could say anything that could get me like really like, I don't know, fighting. And I don't want to do anything to cause a massive fight in the archaeological community. And there was one time where like when you publish an article, it shows you the metrics of like how it's performing in social media. And it had like 3 tweets, which were like me being like, hey guys, read this article I wrote. And then someone else like retweeting it. But then I don't know if this was a glitch, but it shows you how it performs on Facebook too. And it literally had 200,000 engagements on Facebook. This article that I wrote about like sea level change in archaeology, but you can't see what is going on. Like it won't show you where it's getting all of those engagements. So I was like furiously Googling on Facebook, like Marisa Borreggine sea level ice. And I never found it
posted and stuff.
Yeah. But
you think it's just a bunch of archaeologists like hate reading?
That is my worst fear, and I'm just gonna accept that that's probably what it was. That's fine.
Listen.
Did someone from the Harvard newspaper get a hold of you and ask you
to
comment on it?
I wish.
You wish they'd ask you about that instead of how much you hate Harvard.
How much I hate this institution.
Okay,
but
so
also,
I do have a question about so when you say that you model it, what is that? Are we doing like computer models? Are we doing like little dioramas? Like what?
Oh my god!
I choose to believe it's dioramas.
Oh my god! Well, I mean, whenever I was in, it's funny that that's a really good question because for me personally, I do computer models. Basically, I just like take all of the evidence that there is about what ice looked like, how tall it was, how wide it was, like its shape and size, and I like make a model of it and I plug it into this other model that shows us how like sea level responds to ice changes. And that's what we do in our group. But whenever I was an undergrad at University of Washington, go dogs, I was studying, I was an oceanography student, and they have a massive diorama of the Puget Sound, which you're familiar with, Chloe. You used to like row on the Puget Sound, right?
Oh, yeah. I gotta say, much better water up in Seattle than on the Charles. Less
dead bodies.
This river can kick rocks. It sucks. Yeah. I hated rowing.
The Puget Sound is beautiful, and there's in the oceanography building. There's a massive like diorama with water in it, and you can like put waves through it to see how like water will like behave in the Puget Sound. So dioramas are like very viable and cool models.
Cool.
Yeah.
And they don't use shoe boxes as much as you think.
Yeah. They don't.
Well, it's, they don't hold water as long as you want them to.
Right. I mean, the paraffin only, you got to paraffin the inside of it.
Or duct tape it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to hang a lantern on another honest question about why weren't Viking women called Vikings. And honestly, if I could go back in time and change one thing about the Vikings, I wouldn't warn them about the coming like destruction of their, homes and everything. I would say you guys got to really step it up when it comes to the Viking women. You need to call them Vikings.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
And I don't know as much about this, but like shield maidens did exist. Women.
Yeah, what was the kind of the hierarchy between because weren't Viking women, they were very active.
It's kind of like matriarchal, right? Yeah. Like they were very important in Viking society.
Yeah. They also have a goddess who's basically a cat lady. Like her chariot is drawn by giant cats.
Oh my god. Wow.
I think that might be Freya.
That's so impressive.
Let me look that up real quick. I'm just going to type in cat lady Viking.
Cat lady Vikings. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very. It's been really fun doing this project and learning more about Viking society, their cows, their boats, their fighting, constant fighting.
There's a
Oh, yeah, it
new
is Freya.
Viking movie coming out
Freya.
called
Really?
the Northmen or something like, and it's got the Skarsgård, one of the Skarsgårds.
Oh, you gotta get one
Wow.
of the Skarsgårds in there.
Yeah.
The I think not the guy that played Eric. It might be. Is it Eric Skarsgård? The guy that played Eric in
Bill
True Blood.
Skarsgård?
The guy from True Blood. And
one of the
Pretty Little
Skarsgård.
Liars.
Yeah.
Alexander Skarsgård.
There you
Skarsgård.
go.
Skarsgård. How many times can we say Skarsgård?
I don't know, but I like.
Skarsgård.
It's one of those words I enjoy saying.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Kevin Hart was going to be the Viking. It was going to be him and The Rock as twin.
Oh my god. Buddy Cop Vikings.
Buddy Cop Vikings. There it is. There's the name of it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know,
Matt,
we've been like
picture
spitting
of the
magic.
cat chariot.
What was that?
I just sent you a picture of the cat chariot in the
Oh, let me
Important.
pull that up. Yeah, we should see the
Yeah.
cat chariot.
private chat. Gustav Skarsgård was in a show about Vikings. Thank you, Boo.
Just another Skarsgård. Oh,
There's so many Skarsgårds. They're everywhere.
I think that is a contractual obligation, is that if you're going to do something kind of Scandi or Viking-y, oh, hell yeah.
Let me see if I can
We can zoom in on that.
zoom in on this a little bit here.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Wow. Go Freya.
And they're like house cats, though. They're like,
Yeah, I
those
thought they were going to like,
they're
look
not
mean.
like battle cats or anything.
Oh my god.
Are you kidding me?
I mean,
Yeah,
this
Kill
is
Bill got
by-
it wrong. This is the real pussy wagon for sure.
Incredible.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, look at there's like arrows and heads
Wow.
over here. There's I mean, that looks like that bird fucked up that boar.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot happening.
Wow.
There's
that
a lot
bird is
happening in this
triumphant.
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freya.
Yeah. I mean, this does remind me of something which is very interesting about doing like this archaeology plus earth science research, which is that like often people are like, we just don't know what could have happened. And then you look in the oral like tradition of certain cultures, especially when it comes to indigenous and like Aboriginal and Pacific Islander cultures, and they're like, we actually do know, and we've been telling the story of what happened for thousands of years, and like we're set. Like I feel like most of what you can do when it comes to looking at migration events from an earth science perspective is just like verify what indigenous people already know. And the same is like, I haven't done a ton of looking into like, you know, whether there is Viking oral tradition around like why they left, or like often, you know, these tales can tell us more about what we don't know that could have happened during that time.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that point in Assassin's Creed Odyssey yet, or not Odyssey, Valhalla. Valhalla. I was saying most of my Viking knowledge comes from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is a very fun video game.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to point out that you can, if you would like to own this, you can buy this for $12. Like it's only $12.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
I
that's
You
mean,
not
can
bad.
you can get a pillow for 20.
You gotta get it.
I don't know who this artist is, but I mean they had at least one recent sale since 2016. So I mean,
hell yeah,
if we can drive a couple sales to this person's account there on Fine Art America, by all
that's a
means.
good day. That's a
It's a
win.
good,
What
good
did
day
I
for
think?
us. We like to help out. We like to
Yeah.
help out. So what's your? I don't know if you've already talked about this or not, but what's like the craziest thing you've discovered in your research
Regarding stuff?
Vikings?
Or
I mean,
it could be not about Vikings.
it could be anything.
It could be
Yeah.
anything.
Man, it's there's just so much interesting stuff. I mean, I guess with the Vikings, I think that like just I do think that the stuff with the bones is really interesting. Like I know that's not necessarily like not super surprising.
No, but that's cool. That's a cool.
I think
I
it's
was wondering what
cool.
seal meat
Yeah.
would taste like.
I know. Yeah.
Like what is seal? Probably. Oh my god, seal has to be just kind of
Oily? I don't
like
know.
yeah, like
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
oily
It's
and
blubber.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I did, a friend of mine actually is a Viking archaeologist, and he doesn't study Vikings in Greenland, but he does in like other parts of the world.
Mhm.
And I was like, dude, I mean, one thing I don't understand is like the Vikings couldn't have chosen like a worse place to settle in southern Greenland. Like they're in these fjords that are like the topography is crazy. You're gonna be like really just hit whenever sea level rises. Like you're just immediately getting like completely
Yeah.
flooded. And all of their their like houses and settlements were really close to the coast. But I mean, you're like, here's the coast and then here's the Greenland ice sheet, so you don't really have a ton of space to settle anyways. And he was telling me that like it's kind of tradition, the like location and orientation of where Viking houses, like long houses, are in different settlements is just where is the best place to look out for potential attackers via the sea. So I was like, why are they so close to the ocean? Like, this is horrible. But he was telling me, like, no, it's actually really smart because that way, if they get attacked, they can, respond very quickly and they can see before people, are just descending upon them. I don't think they were ever attacked in southern Greenland, though. Like, they definitely fought. One of the other theories is like there were 3 settlements. There was the Eastern settlement, the Middle settlement, and the Western settlement. And the Western settlement was mysteriously abandoned before the Eastern settlement. Like some like dudes from the Eastern settlement went up to the Western settlement just to check in because they were like doing a lot of trading and stuff. And they went there
What's
and
up?
it was just like
your
gone.
phone in a couple of days.
Exactly. Like I've been calling, I've been sending
calling, I've been
carrier
texting.
pigeons.
Like what's going on?
And it
I'm
was
gonna
just
go
gone.
over there. And they were
It was
just
wiped
gone.
out. They're just gone. And the leading theory there is actually that like they were fighting with Inuit because the Vikings were actually pretty horrible towards the Inuit that were already living there. The Western settlement was really close to Disco Bay, which is fucking dope.
I mean,
Disco
who
Bay,
doesn't
which
love
is
to go
where
to Disco
Inuit
Bay on a Friday night?
yeah. And there's all these like there's a ton of ruins in southern Greenland. Like if you just look up Viking ruins, they're all over southern Greenland. You can do like tours of the Viking ruins, and there's also like Inuit ruins, and they're like halfway underwater, like they're drowned. And there's like all these graveyards that are really really close to the coast, and they're also like halfway underwater. So it's really spooky. It's super spooky. Yeah, there it is. There it is. That first image on like the top left, that's Valsey. That is the church where the wedding between
Right
two
here?
people was. Yeah, that's the one. That is the last record of Viking occupation in Greenland is at that church. There was a wedding in the early 1400s and then nothing else. Absolutely nothing.
Wow.
It is spooky.
It's really beautiful.
There's a bunch of Vikings hanging out.
Oh, classic
This is
Vikings.
what they would do. Classic Viking.
You can see how close it is to the water, though. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to, one thing I've learned while doing this is like, I thought that I was going to find that like sea level rose and they got completely drowned. And then they were just like, bye, we're gone. Right. Or like they all slowly died or whatever. But I think one thing that I've learned, especially from doing archaeology, is like there's never an easy answer about like why people migrate, and it's always like really nuanced and there's a lot of reasons. And one of the things that was happening with Vikings is that whenever they got to Greenland, they became a supplier of like ivory and just like furs and stuff to the rest of the world. But then during their time living there, in like Europe and Scandinavia, they started trading more with like Africa and with Russia. And so all of these things that were really exclusive that the Vikings were providing became just a lot less exclusive. And so they were like in economic peril. It was super cold. Sea level was rising. They're fighting with the Inuit. Like they're not adapting, losing land left and right. So I think that's kind of part of the reason why they had to leave.
Yeah. And we don't know where they went.
I think that the next place you see Vikings is in North America, right? Like in
Okay, yeah.
Vinland. So I think because I'm pretty sure this is true that Eric the Red goes to Greenland, and then his son is Leif Erikson. Eric the Red,
yeah.
Leif Erikson, and then he goes like simultaneously while they're living in Greenland. There's a bunch of expeditions to the Americas. So,
Which
yeah.
God, you think about those boats that they were in and how they
Insane.
like traveled that. But I mean, they're fast, right? Like they're
so
super,
fast.
they're super fast boats. So I mean, they can cover a lot of ground, or ocean.
A lot of ocean.
Yeah.
Cover a lot of
in
ocean
not a
real
lot of
quick.
time. So and you were saying with the sea levels the way it is, I don't know, maybe it wasn't as everything was a little bit more compact.
Yeah.
Leaf
It's
landed
really
first. Yeah, that's a
Remember
hashtag.
his name.
Okay. So, so the immediate blowback from posting this article is like, climate change isn't so bad.
Yeah. So I mean, there's two different articles. Like
Worked
I
out for the
was,
Vikings.
Yeah,
Did it?
seriously.
How many Vikings do you know now? Like how many Vikings do you know right now?
Approximately 0.
Approximately.
But I wish I could chat to them about what was going through their brains. I don't know how we would do that because I don't speak their language, but I do think it was partially celestial navigation. I don't know a ton about like, this was like, relatively recent in terms of human history. So they definitely had some like very sophisticated navigation technology. But I think, I had written this one article about like the importance of acknowledging that sea level change is not like uniform. Like it's not just like, oh, the Antarctic ice sheet melted and now globally sea level rose 1 meter everywhere in the whole world. It changes depending on where you are and how close you are to the ice sheet. And there's all these sea level physics, which is what I study. And so I posted that, and that was the one where I was like, oh shit, like archaeologists are talking about this on Facebook, like help. And then I got interviewed for this magazine. I should probably pull up the article because it's a much more eloquent description of my research. I'll find it. Find
us that article
News.
And we'll post it in actually you can just post the link in the well, you have to be on Twitch, but if you send it to me, I'll put it in the chat so people can...
I'll put it in the private chat for you guys. So I was interviewed for this article and I was like, oh, sweet. Like, let's get the word out about like how sea level change is a factor in Viking outmigration. Like we still don't know exactly why they left, but this is part of the reason. And then I was looking at how it was getting interacted with on Twitter and people were like, look at that, like trying to push the climate change agenda onto the Vikings. I'm like, you guys, here's something that's important to understand is that this was all happening before 1850. This is all happening before the Industrial Revolution. So it's not like human induced climate change. Like, I think that the leading theory about why the Little Ice Age happened is because there was a bunch of massive volcano eruptions all simultaneously. And then it, like the ash in the sky just literally cooled the earth. So I'm like, this is not like anthropogenic climate change, you guys. I promise I don't have an agenda. I'm just interested in Vikings. But it's good. I think that's why science communication is important, because you could say, Vikings did that and people will be like, climate change is fake. So
well, and it's a lot of things get lost in translation, like unless somebody is particularly adept at like translating their own work into something that's like consumable, like easily consumable for the public. What happens is the person does the research and then a journalist writes an article about it and things get lost in there of like, I had I took a class on dinosaurs when I was in college.
Fun.
Which was one of my favorite, is Age of Dinosaurs. It was one of my favorite classes that I took the whole time. And
was it a lecture hall class? Was it like one of the huge classes? Because everybody wants to take
is a science credit.
Dino class.
Professor Brochu was like particularly charismatic, so it was a really good time. But he did his doctorate on Sue, the T-Rex at the Field Museum in Chicago, which is the most complete T-Rex skeleton.
We love Sue, a Chicago icon.
Yeah, Chicago icon. She is one of their finest citizens.
Yeah.
But so he was, this journalist was writing this article about Sue, and he goes, so were dinosaurs warm-blooded or cold-blooded? And the answer is a little bit more complicated than that, right? It was they have a unique circulatory system where they have, which is actually, birds are dinosaurs, so it's actually similar to how that works. They have little pockets of air. Part of the reason they were able to get so big is because they had these pleuroseals, these little pockets of air throughout their body, so that the oxygen was distributed more efficiently. And of course, like, he gives this whole answer and he goes into it and he's like, they have a unique circulatory system. It's not just as simple as warm or cold-blooded. And then he gets done with the explanation and the guy's like, okay, so is that warm or cold?
Is that warm or cold? Yeah.
You did not answer my question.
I think
I did. You just didn't understand the answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's like, I've really been pushing since being here that like people should, if you're going to be in science, like people can make it to the top in science, like become a professor at like an Ivy League or whatever is considered the top, and like never take any courses on science communication, never learn like anything meaningful about like what it is to be a good teacher and a good manager of students. Like this is stuff that like I think scientists should do, because it's so, you're right, like it's so harmful, and like if everyone should just like deserves to have access to science. Like it shouldn't just be like, well, you don't understand the theoretical physics behind blah blah blah, because like come on, people should be able to learn.
Every scientist should be required to produce a Bill Nye type show before they're
Every scientist.
Every single one. That way,
and the best one wins.
Yeah, and the best one wins. The rest of them cannot be scientists anymore. There is they all have to renounce science.
You give up your entire career.
Yeah. They each will have a job waiting for them at an Orange Julius store. We're bringing Orange Julius back.
Perfection.
Yeah, but they cannot do science.
I mean, that's the real scientific method, if I do say so myself.
It's just making scientists fight to the Orange Julius.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We don't want to fight to the
see
pain.
it.
We want to embarrass you. Or we don't want to fight to the death. We want to embarrass you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. To the pain.
To the pain. Exactly.
So Marisa, let's. I mean, I don't know. We can talk about Vikings all day long, and I would be absolutely okay with that. Has this been a big portion of like what's been taking up your time over the course of the pandemic and now everything? Like, has this been has this been the forefront of everything?
Kind of. I mean, I feel like, a good graduate student would be constantly working on their research in an effort to eventually graduate. Hence my, don't know when I'm going to graduate.
Take your time.
But so I would do that. That's one of my, actually one of my smaller projects, because I've had a lot of help from my, coworkers. And I also am looking at, how people migrated from Indonesia into Australia 60,000 years ago, which is that one's like climate models and like a lot more math. And it's something that's probably going to take me my entire PhD to do. I've been working on it since 2019. So it's a long one.
That's a heck of a migration too.
It's a big one.
Yeah, because like there's like this series of islands. Like,
yeah, they did island hopping.
I'm just thinking Risk. Like I'm thinking like how do
Yeah,
I usually when I play
literally,
Risk,
it's like
how do I
Risk.
get my armies from
Mhm.
Australia up into
Yeah.
Japan? So
It's really cool. No, there's like they hop from island to island on these boats, and like I'm using climate models to estimate what ocean currents looked like in that region during like 60 to 40,000 years ago. And then I have something. Oh, this is actually one of my favorite things I've learned in grad school. I built something called an agent-based model where people are agents because they have agency, and you model human will and the way people make decisions in just using math. And I was like, when I first heard about this, I was like, what the fuck? Because like I'm okay at math. Like it's something I have to do for work, but it's a struggle. And these models are actually like so intuitive. It's literally you just assign a cost to everything. So you're like, I'm a person standing on a shore, and I can see an island ahead of me, and there's an ocean current, and I got my boat, and I have my family with me. I need to decide what my next move is. And if the island is within sight, then it's not very costly. You can see it, you know where you're going. If it's really far away, so far away you cannot see it, but you know that it's there, it's more costly because you can't see it. You don't really know where you're going. You're just kind of going off of instinct. If there's water and food nearby where you are, that's less costly. You have resources. It's like all of these things that you're weighing when you make decisions about how to migrate. If you're like someone back 40,000 years ago, you're just going off of your survival. You just get to model the way people make decisions. And my ultimate goal is to come up with like, what is the most likely pathway from Indonesia into Australia that people would have taken. And it's just so much fun.
Wow.
I love doing it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's really, because I mean, I'm sure that along the way, like that's how, people would stop me like, hey, this island's good. I like this island.
This is a good one. I want to stay here for a bit.
I'm just going to stay here.
Yeah. And also like what kind of boats you had, because we don't know. I mean, like there's no archaeological evidence of what kind of like marine craft people used it, because it was likely made of materials that would like degrade over 40,000 years. So we don't know if they had ships. We don't know if they had bamboo rafts, like, or something in between that's like kind of a medium complicated
I'm
like boat.
So sorry, I'm gonna plug my computer in real quick. I'll be
that's totally fine.
Yeah. So totally they don't have like, they have no idea like what these vessels like look like. They don't have any sort of thing to go on for that.
To the most that we could go off of is what communities that live in the Indo-Pacific today have. So that was like a lot of rafts. I think that they probably used rafts. But it's, they're relatively short different distances between the islands, but it's not like a trek I would want to make myself on a raft, on like the seas of the
but if you're
Pacific
going
Ocean.
like as a group of people, right? Like
then you have
like
resources.
You
can like establish a colony. And post up. Like that's why I say such a wide range period, because there's a lot of arguing in the archaeological community about like when did people first arrive in Australia. It could have been 70,000 years ago. It could have been 40,000 years ago. Any time in that period. So yeah, that's a lot of what I do. That's another like, how does sea level change affect human migration and ocean currents? And I don't know what my final project will be, because I have to do 3 before I graduate. But honestly, most of my time, to answer your question, during the pandemic was taken up by union organizing, because until last week, I was the vice president of the Harvard Grad Student Union, but I resigned because my term was up, and that was a lot of my life. We were on strike twice, and lots of that stuff.
Did the strike work? Like did things
kinda.
like kind of?
Yeah, kind of. We got some of what we wanted, but then at the end of the semester, we decided not to do a second strike. And so we got like a medium good contract for the next 3.5 years. And we're still organizing for better working conditions.
You saw the island in front of you and you're like,
Yes.
this is a good island. We can hang here for a while.
We can get there. We
But
can hang out there for a
we're-
while. That's so true.
But we're going to be moving on to the next island
yeah.
in a little bit.
In
So
3.5
don't-
years.
Yeah. So don't get
Hopefully
comfy.
I will be graduated by then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
you're like, hello,
Hopefully.
new students.
Yeah.
Get ready. You're going to have
Get
to deal
ready.
with this at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. It was actually the
Um,
second time I'd been on strike at Harvard as a grad student. So
Really?
that's what it's like to go to this place.
If
Yeah,
But
it,
strikes work, you guys. Union
Yeah.
jobs are great.
yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like so Harvard's a long-standing institution, and you got a lot of people there that like either have a legacy or they've got the money
Yeah.
to pay to go to school there, stuff like that. But it's also like people go there because it's supposed to be the best of the best, and like, you know, if you know, it's an Ivy League school and they want that reputation and they want the best learning and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And so it's like like an older, more staunch administration, but then they're bringing all these really smart young people in, and it's like, how do you not expect that
Like,
these kind
come
of
on.
students are gonna
Yeah. They're going to like want dignity in their work. I mean, I think this is something that's sort of like a misunderstanding about like the people that go to Harvard. It's like a lot of people that go to Harvard are like working class. Like people,
Yeah.
I get paid to go here. It's my job. Like I'm a grad student, but this is my job. I teach students. I teach classes about geology and about
Yeah.
sea level. Like I do research for the university. This research is like adding to the name of Harvard. And I think one thing that we, chant a lot on the picket lines is that you can't eat prestige. Like you just can't. Like
Right.
we are not paid a living wage for this for the living in Boston and Cambridge. And we're also
Yeah.
not the only union at Harvard. The custodial staff are unionized, the dining hall workers are unionized, the like administrative staff, like the clerical workers are all unionized. There's other unions popping up left and right.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like we have a lot of people who like just understand that like this is our job. We're part of the labor movement, and we deserve like a living wage and like not to be harassed at work. And it's just the basic things, the
bare
basic
minimum
things.
there.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
not cheap. And it is like the cost of living out here is not cheap.
It's not cheap.
At-
It's not
at all.
cheap. I mean, you've probably
Yeah.
seen that a lot of like our favorite institutions are unionizing. Like Darwin's is unionized. Block Cafe and Forge are unionized now.
Oh, wow.
The Starbucks, 3 Starbucks in Boston are now unionized. Like a lot of cafes are unionizing. God, it's just like left and right. Like there's so many. The MIT grad students just unionized.
The people that work the Freedom Trail.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
the bell ringers. They're the bell ringers union.
Yeah, my
which
cousin
I love.
used to
I
be
had-
in that. Mhm.
Yeah, I had some people that I used to work with at the Tea Party Museum. I used to work at the Boston Tea
Oh,
Party
that's so
Museum.
sick.
it was a trip. Like days like this, we would be out on the boat. We would be out on.
Oh
a boat
my
in Boston
God.
Harbor, freezing our butts off, throwing
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throwing
fake crates of tea into the, and then hauling it because it was connected to a rope to the boat,
Yeah.
and
Oh my
it,
God,
it
I
would be
need to know
frozen along
everything
the
about
side.
that.
We have to put salt down everywhere. Like it was
Yeah.
Oh my
treacherous because we were
God.
basically working on the water, like because the whole museum
Yeah.
is on a floating.
Yeah.
floating green.
Honestly, like highly recommend, especially if you got young kids with you, because the kids
Yeah.
get to like
That's sick.
throw the tea over the.
Yeah,
over
it was a great time. I just
Oh my
got tired
God.
of tourists.
That's fair.
You can only have
That's
so many
totally
tourists like poke you in the stomach and ask you if you're using padding to make yourself look fat.
Oh
Like no,
God.
that's just,
Oh my God.
yeah, no, that happened like
Tourists.
several times, and I'm like, I need to
You
quit
need
this
to
job, or
not
I'm
do
gonna
that.
punch somebody in the
I
face.
never
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah,
I never understand a person believing that they are allowed to touch another person
Just
Another
touch
person.
you.
they don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm like, what are you? Why are you?
It
touching
happens
me?
seems to
to
be-
pregnant women all the time.
It happens to pregnant people. It happens to people who work in these jobs. I mean, that seems to be like a common theme in like service jobs. Like I'm so glad that that the like cafes are unionizing. So I was like a bartender and I worked in cafes for years before going to grad school, and lots of touching that I didn't ask for in that job too. Yeah.
Booth says
It's not
Matt's
great.
about to swap the tea out with the tourists. They're gonna kill the tourists.
Oh, there were plenty of times I wanted
no
to,
rope to pull them back up.
just toss them right into the harbor. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're fine. You can swim it.
Yeah. The T stands for tourists.
Yeah. I would say the
honestly-
coolest part about that job, though, was when we actually did there's like an actual reenactment every December 16th. They do like a big reenactment where they actually dump tea into the harbor. Like the East India Company sends tea to the museum.
Oh, that's so
for us to
funny.
Wait,
throw
the East
in.
India Company exists?
Yeah. There's still a tea company.
Listen, tea is
Oh my
forever.
god.
Yeah.
Tea
And they
stands
send all
for
kinds of like it's all like
never. It
past
doesn't-
date tea, like over like and then like thousands of people will show up. I don't know how it's been.
When does
the
this
COVID
happen?
years.
How have I
December
missed this?
16th. December 16th at the Fort Point Channel. Every
Oh my
December
God.
16th. Yeah.
Oh yes.
That was a
Can't believe I missed out.
That was a rush. Like they gave us hatchets and we like come around the thing. And we're like, huh, huh, huh.
Let me tell you.
Like it was. Awesome.
So I'm from Los Angeles, and coming to the East Coast and seeing all this stuff, I'm like, y'all are wild sometimes. Like, this is so funny.
It's a weird place.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of like living too close to the sea,
Yeah.
like I don't understand
The
the
swamp
people
is
that
going
invest
under.
in real estate in the seaport.
Yeah. If you want to be super sad, look at the like sea level change simulator. I think it's from NOAA. I can find the link. Sorry, I'm just dropping sad links left and right.
It's just sad.
Because I currently work in the seaport. Like the cafe that I work at is in the seaport. So
yeah,
there's
but
like
here's the
a
thing, is that
viewer.
people are always gonna want a view,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
they've got these. They'll have these like jacks, and what they'll do is they'll just like crank it all up a notch. Like it'll just we're all on top of we're on top of the water anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
Boston is like in I was helping out with there's this organization at Harvard called Fossil Fuel Divest, and you might remember them because they stormed the Harvard Yale game a few years ago. They like stormed the field and a bunch of students got arrested. And they did they like filed a brief with Attorney General Maura Healey against Harvard for continuing to have investments in fossil fuel related funds. And Harvard actually did divest from fossil fuels last year, which was great. They're like en route to divesting. And I think Princeton has already done that too. But I was helping them write this report for their brief and talking about sea level rise in Boston. And unfortunately, Boston is like much more vulnerable to sea level rise, not only because of where we are and because of how low lying we are as a city, and like, the past of like how the city was constructed, but also because of like the stuff I was talking about, how sea level changes in really unique ways, depending on where you are in the world and depending on what ice melts. Boston is going to see above average sea level rise compared to the rest of the world. As like the Greenland and West Antarctic ice sheet melts. So we're, use the NOAA simulator to see exactly what that'll look like. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Well,
But I don't want to.
Eventually, Arlington will be South
climate
Shore.
nihilism today. I feel like I'm coming off as like a climate nihilist. I promise, like
That's okay.
you guys, we can solve these. We can solve it.
Listen,
Climate change is solvable.
I mean, it's not like the truth is important.
Mm-hmm.
And
It is.
and sometimes it's tough, and that's okay.
But this is a hello weekend. This is a good show. I want everybody to go into the weekend knowing that like it is possible to mitigate climate change and to like unionize your workplace and to like discover things about Vikings. Like it's good. It's good.
What's
A better
one
world
thing-
is just around the corner.
What
It's
is
true.
one thing that people can do
Oh yeah, let's
about
do that.
climate change?
Oh my God, that's such like a big question. I mean, because I think
Yeah.
that like the thing that I struggle with is like there's that the I think the underpinning like current of that question is that like it's up to individuals to solve the climate crisis, but it's up to corporations to stop
Yeah.
doing
Right.
what they're doing. So I think
Exactly.
it's just like trying to hold corporations accountable. Like voting is obviously important. You know, there's things that you can do in your day-to-day life, and I think that those things are important, but they can really only amount to a drop in the bucket as long as like people in powerful positions don't take accountability for the impact that they have on the world that we live in. So
Yeah.
that's my answer. I know it's a bit vague, but that's my thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta start with, you know, the people in power have to want to make the change. Like we can only, and then we have to get the people that we choose to be in power.
Yeah,
have to be the people
exactly.
that know how to fix things. You know,
Yeah.
and they're there.
I mean, you can read the book. What's it called? I'm looking it up right now because I want to get. The book is called How to Blow Up a Pipeline by Andreas Balm. That's a good book to read. It's not just
Ooh.
about how to do. It's not just about.
Eco-terrorism.
It's not just about eco-terrorism. I promise. It's talking about climate activism, which is great.
Yeah.
I think it's important to think about. That's a great book.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on one
Yeah,
I
second.
think also just like remembering that it's all like connected. I think that this is something that can really get lost in the fray of like, you know, talking about climate science and climate change. Like climate change is like a labor issue. Climate change is a racial justice issue. Climate change is like, you know, it's totally impacts all parts of our lives and all parts of our identities. And I think it's important to remember that like queer liberation and like racial liberation and all these things are tied up, and like reading How to Blow Up a Pipeline is a good place to start. And that's my thought on that.
Yeah. And I would just add like just start like following like whatever social media you're on, just start following organizations that work towards that, because they'll post like petitions you can sign, which is literally like it's such a small thing that you can actually do if you're not willing to invest in eco-terrorism. Sign a petition.
I'm not out here advocating for eco-terrorism, by the way.
Nor should we be.
Nor should we.
We're not. What's it? It's a clear hello weekend stance. We do not advocate.
We do not
don't blow stuff up.
Terrorism.
We do not negotiate with terrorists.
Well, one thing actually that's been helpful that I learned last year. My little brother works in finance, and we found this website called As You Sow, and it's a nonprofit that does reports on how you can invest your money in fossil-free ways and invest your money in like prison-free funds. And let me find the link to it. It's a great.
Already got it.
Yeah, yes. It's a great nonprofit. They do these really accessible reports about like what funds are connected to like gender equality and to like weapons and to like deforestation and stuff like that. So that's a great resource that I love to share around.
Awesome. Well, Marisa, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today. I feel like
following my galaxy brain takes all around.
I mean, that's what makes the show great. We started talking about Vikings, ended talking about climate change. I mean, we covered the gamut today. That's the world we live in. But is there any place people can follow you on this wide internet world, or as Tiffany Kavanaugh would say, these internet streets?
These internet streets. I'm at MJ_Borreggine at Twitter. I mean, you can follow my Instagram that I don't use. It's Wine Tasting Official. Came up with that name when I was 14, so
I'm sorry,
crushing it.
What is it?
Wine Tasting Official.
Wine Tasting Official. Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
I'm sure there are a lot of people that are mad that you got that account.
Oh, for sure. I'm tagged in official wine tasting posts all the time, so
I love
it
that.
is great.
I love that.
But yeah, I'm mostly on Twitter these days. I do pretty much what we talked about here. It's a mix of like Vikings, labor organizing, climate change tweets. So if you want to like know way more about the Boston labor organizing currents than you ever wanted to, like My retweets are good.
Yeah, we should get you to. We should put you in touch with Kendra Dawsey and Zach Jones, and you should come on Left Night at some point.
Wow, so sick. Yeah.
Yeah, that would you would love them. I mean, that's what they all talk about.
Yeah.
And that's on
Leftists can
Wednesday
be funny,
nights.
you guys. It's amazing.
It's a fun show. It's a fun show. Wednesday nights, 8:30.
Sweet, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you,
Thanks
Marisa,
for having
and
me. I really
have a great
appreciate
rest
it.
of your day.
Yeah, you guys too. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, that's the show.
How fun.
How fun. Great
I learned
show.
a lot.
Yeah, I did too. That was outstanding. Everybody have a great week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for keeping the chat interesting. Have a wonderful, I hope you're all having a great 2022 so far. We're a week in. Things are things are trucking. Things are about to get crazy here, y'all, in the next few weeks. So keep an ear out for that. Chloe, do you have any final words before we say goodbye?
Oh man, keep your I know it's a pain in the butt to put on all your winter gear before you go outside, but you gotta do it. You gotta stay warm. You gotta protect your skin. Just take a minute, put all your stuff on. Don't get snow in your shoes. Nothing worse than wet socks.
Nothing worse than wet socks. And with that, we'll see you next week.
Goodbye, world.
Bye.